think somebody said it's supposed to knock or something like that. I don't know how they open.
What's the password?
Bongs and dongs. Can't believe that one worked. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Petaluma Stories. I'm your host Wik with PCA, Petaluma Community Access, where we shine a light on the people behind the places that you love. Today, we're going underground, literally and musically, with a spot that's become a true gem in our community, the Big Easy. We're going to be sitting with the owner, Roger, the man behind the magic. We're going to be diving into his story, what inspired this venue, and what it's like to run one of the coolest spots in town. Let's get into it. Let's go.
I am Roger Tschann. I run the Big Easy, and our sister restaurant Speakeasy is run by Jesus and Angel. We started the Speakeasy in 2012. The opportunity came to get this giant space 2 years later, so we did it, and it's the Big Easy because now that's the Small Easy.
Small Easy, the Speakeasy, the Big Easy. Have you always been involved with the music, the food, the nightlife scene?
I've always been involved in music. My mom had a pretty grand piano in the living room, and my brother had a drum set. We had guitars and that. And he ran music every time kid, and like I said, I had a whole career recording. I had bands helping make records, demos, whatever. For 20 years. I had never worked in a restaurant, but there was definitely a lot of nightlife involved with music that I was in. I mean, various bands playing various things.
What did you play?
Or
what do you still play?
Guitar mainly, like in the beginning, but I've also played drums in bands, bass in bands. I was in a country band where I played piano, keyboard. So a little of everything. I'm mostly proficient at guitar, although I haven't picked up a guitar what I'm doing.
I was just gonna ask when it was the last. Do you still play or no?
Occasionally, I haven't. No, effectively no. Sadly,
But you picked up a guitar. Do you still? Is it like riding a bike? Are you still on it or?
it's quite like riding a bike. I did sit behind a drum set once recently and realized that it's not like riding a bike, and I couldn't really. I was like, oh man, I suck at this. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, guitar I think is kind of more like riding a bike for me because I've been playing guitar since I was a kid.
And so with like the drum, what do you feel you lose over the hand? Is it the rhythm, or you just don't hear it right, or you just?
And then
like,
just
what's the vibe?
The muscle memory, really. I had. That's what I would say.
But you never worked in a restaurant before.
Never worked in a restaurant.
You started a restaurant.
Started a restaurant.
No, how does that work? Really, were there questions? You trying to figure things out?
I kind of wanted to open a bar, really, and so at the time, the idea that we had was not really. Liquor license is very expensive. So like beer and wine license is relatively easy to get if you are serving food. So I kind of opened that spot over there and kind of made it look like you're in a little tiny bar, but we just served beer and wine because a beer and wine license was pretty easy to get, as long as you're serving food. Yeah. So I had to serve food. So, and there was already a kitchen there in the building. Actually, sort of bought the restaurant, kind of, but it was, we basically did where's my meats, everything, gutted the whole place, redid everything, and that. It was kind of, in a way, kind of a stepping stone to this, because,
But that one was first, right?
that one's for my bad, and 2 years later, but yeah, this is more like what I really wanted to do, but kind of had to take a little baby step first to kind of get it going.
It's funny how that works, right? Like sometimes the thing that you want, it just starts with us And I know we talked about it before. What was this place before you bought it?
It was Off Limits Smoke and Sensuality Shoppe.
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 Target.
So it was a head shop and porn store, and lingerie and whips and hand and
It was the home of
bongs
the
and
bongs.
bongs and dogs.
And that's what we were talking about earlier. This is a huge space. So I can only imagine the shelving, the rack, the stacks of bongs and dongs. That's just a lot going on in there.
It was a strange thing to be in a space this big. I don't know if it was some sort of money laundering thing, or I have no idea.
All of bongs and dongs, there's the possibility of sketch is relatively high. Let's just say that, right? There could have been activities that we may not know. But you know what the interesting part? Like, I know Petaluma's history and prohibition, and we got places like that. So why the whole speakeasy part? So for that speakeasy, this is the big easy. What's your fascination with that whole speakeasy vibe?
Well, kind of because the Petaluma, the stories you hear about the underground tunnels running from Volpe's to the Phoenix Theater to the hotel and all these things. I don't know how true those are. I know I've been downstairs,
But there are stories.
there are stories.
Mhm.
Like I wanted to create kind of like a bar-like vibe without actually having a bar, and so that was the speakeasy vibe. And speakeasy just it seemed like we thought it was kind of paying homage to places like Volpe's and stuff that really were speakeasies back there in Provincium. And just kind of Petaluma has that kind of turn of the century vibe to the downtown, all the neat old buildings and everything. And so I wanted to kind of tie into that. And so decorated the place like very old timey. And when this place became available, since Speakeasy is so small and this is so relatively big, we just decided to call it Big Easy.
We don't want to give out
And that fits in too with the kind of speakeasy vibe, because in New Orleans, the Big Easy.
So, but just, I want to give it a lecture, but I was walking down over there by the stage, and one of the bricks in the floor was loose. So is there a tunnel going under here? Not that I'm aware of. Not that he'll admit. Let's just say that, right? Not that he'll admit. But was that something you were just into? So of course, we want to give homage to Petaluma and that old thing. Were you into that before, like that whole Al Capone, the 1920, the Prohibition? What attracted you to that?
Everybody, I think that's kind of cool, right? And so do I. And it just kind of clicked. And we also were the whole Easy thing. I wanted to change the name of the corporation to Easy Industry Incorporated. We just kind of have a random name right now, but there was the Speakeasy, the Big Easy, and then we had a food truck that we were trying to get going, and that was going to be Easy Street. And we had gift cards to call it Easy Money. So this whole Easy thing, just kind of riff on that.
Yeah, you know what? From bongs and dons to the Big Easy, from Gleazy to Big Easy, right? That's what we do. One thing that you mentioned before, so at the door, true or false, when you come in, do you have that door with that little, what's the password a little bit?
We have the door with the little password, but
not yet, but you never know. There might be times when that can be needed, huh?
I've thought about making it was like a club member type thing where you have a bit that.
You ever see it in the movies, a little bit of that mafioso feel? Right, that the little club members, people sitting in the back having, especially like how this is set up and the lighting, you can almost have like a little, there's a secret meeting going on there. So and so is talking about over there, right? And the vibe is there, and that's what to me that's what the speakeasy works, right? You got this places where somebody's famous, someone's infamous a little bit, right? You don't know what's going on. So in there, that's always going to be cool.
We should do a little video clip with the
Yeah, absolutely. Shoot, I didn't, when you mentioned that, I was like, dude, we definitely need that, right? And so this is the vibe that you're going for, and that's one of the coolest part, Roger, is I truly believe you hit it. Whenever I walk in here, I get that vibe. Like I like that little bit of the dark, that little bit of like old school. You can literally almost see some gal step away, and like you mentioned before, there's artists here do flamenco, but at the same time, the whole flapper dresses and stuff like that. That's not too far, right? I love the way you kept with that vibe.
and we had the occasional burlesque show here, and uh, during the gay pride parade thing, for several years we've had the after party here where there's burlesque and all kinds of.
You know what? It goes hand in hand. It's just how it works. And that's one of the parts that I really appreciate from learning more about this place is all the variety of bands and things. What have been some of the funnest ones that you've seen? Then when you think about that and you're like, what? I really enjoyed this one. Or what have been the...
Oh, the band played and they were really cool. Redwood Chrome, sort of like a White Stripes, Black Keys kind of vibe. They played on St. Patrick's Day, just good dizzy up. They were really cool. I mean, but there's so many cool bands. It's hard. Sure.
There's a lot of talent in the area.
Yeah, right.
And that's one of the things that I really appreciate. Like when I moved back to Sacramento a couple years ago, it just didn't hit me the same. Right? To be like, of course, Sacramento has its own vibe, its own culture, but it's just so much of a city type. And like Petaluma, to me, it just mixes that balance really good, where it just offers some of the best, whether it's the bands, the food, like, a place like this, like I would think of a place like this in a larger city, but we have that right here at Petaluma. I mean, to me, it's like one of those hidden places. So any heartwarming or unforgettable nights at the Big E that stuck with you over the years, like some parts, like you're like, what, I remember this one time in band camp. Or what was your band camp moment here where you're like, what? I really like that.
I mean, there's so many. It's always really rewarding to have a great show where you got a full house and the sound is good and band is good and everybody's having a good time. It's really gratifying to just, feel like, like you're helping with the culture on the town and bringing something different to people. I mean, a few months ago, a local man, victim's family, did their 40th anniversary show there. 40-year anniversary show there. It was sold out. And it sold out like right away. So it was a packed house, and they were like kind of local legends. They're on Jello Biafra's Alternative Tentacles label. They've been on that forever. When I was just a wee kid, a teenager, I used to go see them with the ex and freaking house parties back then, like that. And so it was pretty cool to host these guys who were kind of like rock stars to me when I was a teenager, here at my place and have a sold out show and everybody having a good time.
And I think that's when you put so much into a business, that's like one of the most rewarding parts. See, you do it for the other people, but you also do it for yourself as well, to be able to enjoy these moments. And I think that's one of the cool parts, is to be able to relive some of those childhood moments that we have that we all, really like. So speaking of these artists, you're talking about, Gwen Stefani. Have you seen any artists perform here that went on to bigger things?
Oh, Charlie Crockett did a show here. Charlie Crockett? He's a country guy. He was a black guy. He's from New Orleans. He's like a handsome black man with green eyes, I believe. He's kind of striking looking. But he's gotten huge. And he played here, I don't know. It must have been in the early days. But then years later, he was playing at the Mystic. And I went down there, just because, I don't know, I got off work here and, I went over there, catch the last couple songs. And as he's walking upstairs, I remember you, I've letting you go. But like now he's on like Good Morning America and stuff. He's really blown up. He's Charlie Crockett.
Right, cool things. And like, and sometimes you don't know, right? You never know what's gonna happen, what artist's gonna walk you through the doors. Especially like the Petaluma, we're in the heart of Sonoma County, so it's like there's cool people all over. Good. And do you have a favorite kind of music night or event that lights you up personal?
Well, I mentioned the Big Man, which I think is pretty awesome. Everybody should check that out. And that's pretty cool. But like, I grew up listening to like metal and punk and then emo and all that kind of stuff. So, I really like all kinds of different music. I look, it has obviously the original concept of this place was to be a jazz bar. And for the first several months, I would only book jazz bands because I kind of wanted to establish the concept of the speakeasy jazz vibe. I always knew I wanted to do all kinds of different music. I kind of wanted to set the precedent being the concept of it being a jazz bar.
Yeah.
I haven't really thought about that too much, but that kind of tied in with the whole Big Easy scene too, beginning thing. But I like everything.
What's something people don't realize about running a venue like this? Looking now into your business and doing that, what are some things that people don't realize?
Well, there's a lot more paperwork than there needs to be.
There, you know what? I've never heard the paperwork gotten less and less. And one thing I get to hear,
It's not actual physical paper anymore, right? But yeah, I have a lot of just not fun stuff. Like I was on the phone there with Cal Savers. Like there's something that's $15,000 bond. Well, I do nothing. That's bullshit. Luckily, I got the card after so until it happens again in 3 months or whatever. But well, there's a lot of moving parts in any business. But my recording studio life was so simple compared to all of the stuff and all of the different agencies and licenses, blah 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 blah. Compliance with this, blah blah blah. At one point, we had opened another restaurant as well. We opened Speakeasy in 2012, this in 2014, and in 2016 we opened another restaurant out on the coast, out on the smallest bay. And at that point, it just gotten kind of crazy. This house at Cargill had like friggin' 50 employees or something between all three places, and it was crazy, but it was working pretty okay until the pandemic started, like, kind of really shook things up. This place was closed. The place had an internet club then, actually right before the pandemic, and this place was shut down because you couldn't do anything indoors. Luckily, I had an outdoor patio at Speakeasy, so when the lockdown was lifted after, the first few weeks or months or whatever, I started taking all the shows and just doing them outside in the courtyard. And that's what helped me make it through the whole thing, was because there were no bars. You couldn't do anything indoors. There was no live music was allowed indoors, but you could do it outdoors. So I just started having concerts outside in the courtyard like every night. And there was no place else for people to go and have a drink, see some music, socialize. I actually did better, I think, in the third quarter during the pandemic than I had done the year before. Because there was, once again, it's like kind of like being open until 2 a.m. If you're the only person doing it, it's pretty good.
And still do that outside or no?
I still do. Yeah, we do jazz every Sunday during the summer outside in the courtyard in the afternoon. And it's harder now because, during the pandemic, it was a little more lax about, like giving people beer in a plastic cup and letting them wander around the courtyard. Not sure if that's legal anymore. I don't think it is. And so I don't really do that anymore. But I will in the summertime still do shows out there. It's fun. It's nice on the warm summer nights.
And some of that stuff just blows my mind because I travel all over the world, right? Like I'll go to a place in Mexico and you can have a beer here, you can take it out there because people are responsible.
Yeah.
Right? People aren't looking at getting just shit-faced or just messing up or doing that. So most places you can just, I go to Colombia, I got back from Tokyo, Hong Kong, and people are just chilling with their drinks. Yeah. Get them from the store, you walk in, you walk out, you go in there, they'll drink in their car. They're not driving. They'll be a passenger. And then here's this, I don't know, there's sometimes that we can maybe get into word about some of the things a little bit funny.
Yeah, well, I thought at one point they decided to keep the to-go alcoholic drinks was going to be allowed.
Yeah.
Newsom said, "Yeah, we're going to keep that," and I don't think it actually wound up happening. I certainly don't sell drinks to go anymore, and
I wouldn't mind it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a like, of course, you got to comply with the laws, and it is what it is. But at the same time, there's countries all over the world. You go to Europe, and you can just breathe merrily. You go through Spain, people are just happy. They're doing it. The few, I think that's one of the things, the few that mess it up for everybody. There's one dude that had a few too many, took it out, and they're like, all right, and we make laws based on some of the dumbest people out, and like, cater to that sea. And I was like, what are you going to do? So what have been some of your biggest challenges and also some of your biggest rewards in running the Big Easy?
the pandemic was certainly a challenge. This place was shut down basically 2 years. I wasn't allowed to operate. I mean,
It's that long?
yeah, you couldn't do anything indoors for this. I was not quite 2 years, but almost 2 years. Now this place was closed. Still paying rent on the place, although my landlord did give me a discounted rate. But I kept it going because, well, there was no gyms open either. So me and my friend Tom, who worked here, Phil, went out and bought a bunch of weights. Then my girlfriend at the time walked in and said, "Oh God, there's a hobo gym here," and it was it was like all mismatched stuff. But tried to keep in shape. As I can tell you do as well.
I don't know. Whiskey's a good protein shake. Maybe you can mix it in there, shake up the bottle, loosen up the muscles a little bit.
So that was a challenge to just get through it all. But like I said, doing the outdoor shows made it kind of fun. Gave everybody some place to go and some place to see. And it was nice to see the community kind of support us during that time and stuff. I was a little worried because there was so much, nobody knew what was going on, and I was kind of worried about getting like targeted as being like a super spreader by having like these gatherings and people are dancing and drinking, and sometimes hard to keep people putting their mask on and all this jazz. And so yeah, pandemic was a challenge for everyone, I'm sure.
Yes.
But other than that,
Your biggest reward? What rewarding about the Big Easy for you?
the most gratifying thing I think is just putting on a good show where it's a full house, great music, and making people happy. And I just let me part of that, facilitate, bringing some art, views.
It's not a bad combination, my friend. Like literally, you cannot go wrong with any of them. I mean, especially like you're talking about. You got me curious now because like I told you, the other day was my first time here as well. And so it's like I didn't even know this was here. And now that you're telling me that you have flamenco, right? You have the big band, you have a hip hop, you have a little bit of this and that. Now, so now I'm more like, oh my God, because one thing I really wanted to check out was flamenco. And I think there's a place in Santa Rosa that had it, and I don't want to go that far. I live in Petaluma. If I know there's a flamenco night like that, just sounds cool.
It is really cool.
So if you could go back and give yourself one piece of advice before starting this, what would it be?
I hope this isn't out there too much, but they say, business 101, don't start a 50-50 partnership with used to be together.
That's definitely wrong. We're not saying that, you know, but we understand whether it's a significant other or another business partner,
Yeah.
right? You know, it's funny. I was just talking to my sister about that today. She was asking me about business, but she was thinking about starting a transportation business with something or another. And I go, you know what? Everything sounds beautiful in the beginning. You know, you have a partner or two, and everyone says, yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I go, everything sounds great in the beginning. It's not until you're in the middle of it where you just really understand all the like you mentioned before, there's so many moving pieces and parts in running a business, right? It doesn't always end up as smoothly as the grass isn't always greener.
Yeah.
Right.
It's you're going to notice the problems when the problems happen.
No.
And you're going to notice that it's really hard to solve some of these problems if there's two people who have equal authority and don't always necessarily agree on it.
Sorry, drive the car with the parking brakes on. Like, I want to do this. Like, no. Like, and you know what? Completely understandable with that.
But that said, we're friends, and she's great, and
She is great. She's great. Very great.
and she was extremely important in getting all this off the ground. She's much more of a flummox by all this bureaucratic red tape, and she just would run right through.
You know, we all have our specialties, and I live by that saying. It wasn't funny then, but it's funny now.
Yeah,
because
to look back and laugh.
when you go to the hindsight, you know what? I'm really glad, even though there's some parts that weren't just always sunshine and rainbows, right? It's like, it's cool that I had this person or this person would look at me, because you do get that different perspective. There's some things I know I just do not want to handle, or I'm just not good at it. And somebody else can do it. And if it's just me, I'm just going to let that paperwork build up and sit there until until I'm getting calls that I do owe the money. And I'm like, crap, let me take care of this, and let me take care of the community. So what do you hope the Big Easy continues to bring to our community, to Petaluma?
Well, when me and my friends were building this bar, I was thinking, well, building all this stuff in here, and I hope it's going to be longer and bigger longer than I am. Not that,
No.
I try to, I try to offset the lifestyle of
You have all that little workout before
the
workouts are paid dividends now.
I hope, I've been, ever since the pandemic, I've been working a lot. I'm basically here 7 nights a week. And when I first reopened, it was largely just me doing everything, just bartending, serving, also running the restaurant. Now, really, Angel and Jesus just kind of run that independently now, which is great for me. And I'm starting to more and more like, okay, I'm not going to work solo this night. I'm going to have somebody else do it. And, I haven't been on a plane since the pandemic. I haven't had a vacation since the pandemic, because I had to dig myself out of this hole. And so I'm pretty much there now, and I'm starting to bring on more people to do things. And, and
Where do you want to go? What's on your on the radar for you for your trip?
I mean, even just a quick little jump down to Cabo sounds fucking.
I thought you could say it's a basketball for. That was sounds great, man.
I think that's. Here's another anecdote. My girlfriend at the time she's a neuroscience. She worked with youth at University of Penn, and she had a conference in Boston. And we were going to go be in Boston on St. Patrick's Day in 2020. We booked the flight, and then on March 12th, which is 5 days before, everything's locked. Conferences canceled, and we never went anywhere. And Alaska Airlines, everything refunded me now. Ticket, honey. But so yeah, that was. I used to, take vacation, go places. And I haven't been on a plane in 5 years.
You know what? One of the sacrifices that being a business owner isn't for the faint of heart, right?
No.
There's been times where, like you said, you're there 7 days a week. It's this, it's that. This is going wrong, and I completely understand. But at some point, as the pieces start fitting together more, and you're able to get that help, you're able to get away and then recharge some of those batteries, right? Yeah. So that's always cool. And what next for you? Any personal creative project or dream you're chasing other than that sandy beach in Cabo, sitting somewhere warm, sipping something cool?
Yeah, that's pretty much what I would like to do at some point again. I kind of well, that's a tough question. What's the next goal? What's next? I don't know. Let's keep this place going, I guess. And
That's you know what? You've done an amazing position. I'm really excited about just checking this out. Right. All right. One thing I have, it's called the speed round question.
okay.
So you're gonna answer these. We're just gonna go right through them, 1 or 2 words. Da 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 da.
So I get another great question.
Make sure it's super unleaded. We're gonna hit you with a quick hit, Roger. Right? Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Early bird or night owl?
Now,
First concert you ever went to?
Motley Crue Shabbat Devil tour at the Warfields.
Oh, nice.
My friend's dad runs.
Favorite local restaurant besides your own?
Can say Bricks.
Great quality. Where do you get that? What's the
Well, they used to have a Gropinator pizza named after Arnold Schwarzenegger. And it had like every meat you could imagine. The Gropinator. It had ham, salami, pepperoni, sausage. And I would get that and I would add onions and tomatoes to it.
You know, they don't have it anymore?
They took it up. It's too much meat.
Ricks, if you're listening, bring back the Gropinator. Just if nothing else, just for the name itself. I would order the Gropinator not knowing what is on the Gropinator, just because. Your go-to karaoke song?
Allison by Elvis Costello, or Wicked Game by Chris Angel.
Honda. One word people use to describe you.
Grumpy.
Grumpy. One word you would use to describe yourself. Grumpy. Tired. Tired. Yes. Dogs or cats?
Cats.
Your guilty pleasure TV show or movie?
Well, not a guilty pleasure because I think fucking awesome. But Arrested Development is the funniest series I've read ever.
Arrested Development, not too bad. Your most used emoji?
That.
Biggest pet peeve?
People who leave dishes in the sink instead of just washing right away.
No. You know what? I'm gonna get better at that. Just because you said that, you reminded me, because that's one of my, before I used to date a girl, and that was her biggest pet peeve. Is she like, it's just one dish, and you can do it now. Why leave all this mess in the sink? And the worst part, just to kind of go in that, is at some point there'll be dishes in my sink, and I need to use the sink, and so I'm just shipping it here. It's like, wait, stop being lazy. Just,
Go easy to do it right up here.
You're right here. It's that. Right there. Get it done.
Let that harden onto the plates and everything. It's going to be more difficult.
Then you gotta scrape it off. I gotta use that steel wool thingy. Doing that, it's like getting rust off a tool. I hear you. A hidden talents.
Probably throwing back that right name.
Yeah. So now, you know what? You can take the bong and the dongs out of the place or out of the person. Sometimes it just doesn't work the other way. We're gonna leave that at there. The spirits of the bong and dong is maybe around. Let's just leave that one there. The dream vacation destination.
I'd like to go to Mongolia.
Why Mongolia?
So, I'm a direct descendant of Genghis Khan. There's most of the population that is any part Asian. Uh, but yeah, I've been all over the world actually. I think I've been probably 20 different countries. Not of course time, but some of the more exotic places that I've been. Well, Cambodia. Been Cambodia? No. It's a lot like Thailand, but a little bit more exotic, I guess. Cambodia was one of the most exotic places I've been. I really enjoyed it there. Kind of the wild, wild west of the Southeast Asia. I mean, laws. I aren't making laws there. It's just kind of like one level. I had a buddy who lived there. We're still buddies. He's, you know, in DC, he lives in DC now, but he was working, he's a journalist. He was working Putnam Times, and yeah, that was really cool. Cambodia.
What was the cool? What's one of your coolest memories from Cambodia?
Going to this hotel that was literally shack on top of water where you could hear frogs under the flat wooden floor, and the room was literally a mosquito net and a mattress in this little honeycomb hideout looking wooden clapboard thing, and you could hear people pooping and peeing through the walls in this shared bathroom, and then looking out the window though, and it's just vast rice paddies and just crazy. And I think it was like $2 a night or something like that, yeah, I was trekking with my buddy. We're going back to Thailand to get my plane back home, and just the wildest shack of a hotel could be. But there's a whole bunch of these rooms with it's mosquito net and a mattress.
Were you ever scared of your You know what? It's one of those things. Those areas, like I said, we're talking about in hindsight. You look at that, you're like, all right, I made it through. I'm okay. There's sometimes I've been in places like that where like this could end me right now. I have no idea where I'm at. I'm in this place, like does those kind of thoughts ever go through your mind, or did you feel pretty okay the whole time?
I always felt pretty, I mean, I traveled a lot, and when you read the travel books, they're always kind of like, oh, this is sketchy, this is dangerous, blah, blah, blah. Whenever I go somewhere, it always, I mean, there was a time actually, kind of think of it, I was in Bulgaria, and I knew I was being targeted to get mugged by this kid. But I kept just saying, oh, I don't have any cash. No cash. I don't have any. When I was backpacking, I looked scruffy and wondered. But he was all. And then, later on, I saw him. He's got this whole gang of little kids with him, like, later on in the afternoon. By that time, they were kind of drunk. They go, oh, yeah, still here. I was going to take your money earlier and all. But generally, I think all those, the travel guides and stuff that you read, and they say, this is sketchy, watch for this and that.
And most of it's common sense.
Most of it's common sense.
Yeah, don't be stupid. Don't be flashy. Don't be in the wrong part of town at 2:00 in the morning by yourself. Don't go there's area like sometimes people say like I go to Colombia, right? And is it dangerous there? I was saying, have you been to Oakland? Right? You can't judge an entire country based on something you heard because of this or that or whatever, right?
When you're at a train station in Romania and a pretty girl just comes up and starts making out with you, to come back to my house with me. Don't do that.
I love that word. Don't do that.
Because you don't have five.
I don't know. That she could really love me. She could have just instantly saw me. That love at first sight. Roger, that's a thing. Love at first sight is a thing, especially in strange country, especially right when you get off the train and somebody embraces you in that way. If she was waiting for me, she could have been at that train station every single day, waiting for that right guy. Maybe we'll throw in her, True, it probably is. But that saying is around for a reason. If you weren't doing this, what would you be doing?
Probably be at a different bar drinking. Yeah.
Might as well be at your own bar room.
Might as well.
Right. Hey, Roger, I want to thank you so much for taking us behind the curtain, showing us about not only yourself, about your business, sharing some of these fun stories, the Big Easy. It's more than just a place to drink and the music venue. It's actually a piece in the heart of Petaluma. Yeah, for everyone that's watching, keep supporting, the businesses like this, the people, the places that make this town so special, and stay curious, stay connected, and just enjoy the time here. Meet the people. Our friend, thank you.
And thank you. And I tell you your friends really you and that's really for how man. Yeah. Okay.